Hi guys, it's Sasha and welcome to my YouTube channel, Sasha Gives, She's Type Wonderful, a channel aimed at increasing awareness about type 1 diabetes. To do this, I tell you what type 1 diabetes is, I tell you what type 1 diabetes isn't, I show you some of the things I do on a day-to-day basis to manage life with such a chronic illness. I do a little bit of vlogging and I pretty much do a little bit of everything on this channel, but my primary aim is to raise awareness about this disease. So if you are new here, thank you for choosing this channel. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Now, as you can see, I'm wearing red, my earrings, a Christmas tree in the back. It is Christmas. Not Christmas yet, but it's the holiday time. It's almost Christmas. We just got through Thanksgiving and now it's we're approaching Christmas. Christmas is my favorite holiday of all time. And no different from Thanksgiving, Christmas can be a source of anxiety for type 1 diabetics in general, because it involves food, festivities, get-togethers, and things like that. So my video today, as you can see from the title, I'm providing just some tips to get through the holidays in general. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
This time, this is my fight song. Take back my life song.
The holidays and Christmas, it represents that time when you get together with your friends, you get together with family. Being Jamaican, it's a time when we bring out the sorrel, we bring out the Christmas cake, and these things are all high in, for me, I know they are high in sugars, and it raises my blood sugar through the roof. And are these foods that I can do without? To be honest, not really, because you know Christmas only comes one time around. So these things that I'm eating, it's only for this time and I make do. That's what I tell myself. So there are certain tips that I use. For example, for I eat in moderation. That is my number one rule when it comes to the holiday. Usually Christmas cake, we have this black Christmas cake and it is so good. I'll see if I can find a picture, but I know that I can't have a huge chunk, right? I'll try to have a half, or I'll also try to have in instances where I can, I'll have the cake specially made for me. So maybe a different type of flour will be used, for example almond flour, which is lower in carbs. But if I am eating the regular Christmas cake, I'll make sure that I have a half a slice. And if you know Christmas cake, you know that you really don't need a whole lot to be satisfied. So this is where portion control comes in. Do not try to just eat like you are going out of control. Tip number one, you have to exercise moderation. Remember, we unfortunately, type 1 diabetics, we are not like the others. And yes, as I said, we do say sometimes that we can eat anything. Yes, we can eat anything, but the flip side to that is that anything we eat, we have to take the amount of insulin to compensate for the amount of foods that we ingest. And we do not want to have to be taking these high units of insulin, even though it's created to help us to survive, but we don't want to go overboard. So moderation. And as I said, the Christmas cake, I try to get it specially made for me using almond flour versus the usual flour. Rule number one, or I shouldn't say rule, tip number one, eat in moderation. Tip number two, and no matter what you eat, you have to remember that your plate has to be balanced. It can't be just carbs. You have to make sure that your plate, it has the protein, it has the good fats and things like that. So that is tip number 2. Whatever carbs that you're ingesting, make sure that it's balanced with the appropriate proteins and good fats to almost neutralize or balance out the amount of carbs that you're eating. And for those of us who we may get invited to go to a holiday party, we may get invited to go to someone's house, make sure you bring something. Bring something that you know the carb content, bring something that you know that you eat, bring something that you don't have to guess the carb content. And it goes along with my favorite thing to say is, if at all possible, make sure that you plate your own food, because you have an idea of what portion size corresponds to the amount of carbohydrates. I can't talk today. So make sure that if you're going somewhere and you're responsible to bring a dish that works for you. Bring a dish. I'm not necessarily saying bring something that's unappetizing that no one else will enjoy, don't get me wrong, but bring something that you know the carb content, bring something that works for you. And if at all possible, when you go to those parties, when you go to those gatherings, plate your own food so that you have you already have an idea of portion size and what a cup of rice or so will mean, versus someone who really has no idea what you're supposed to be eating or how many carbs you're supposed to be eating. So that's my tip number 3, 2 in 1. Tip number 4, and this one is for me more than it. This one I have to remind myself on a day-to-day basis, not just the holidays, and it is drink water. I don't like water. I don't know what it is, but I have to actually remind myself to drink water. I'll have bottles of water at my desk, a container with water, just to remind me how important it is for me to hydrate and drink water. Our body is made up of mostly water, and it actually helps because if you are dehydrated and so on, and your blood sugars are high, that does not help the situation at all. So it's very good for you or for us to remain hydrated. Drink lots of water, and if at all possible, and some things that I do too, like with my meals and so on, I'll avoid juices and I'll go for water. Sometimes what I'll do, I'll drink those carbonated waters. They have zero everything. 0 carbs, 0 sodium, 0 added sugar, it's zero because it's water, but it has that extra fizz. So I'll trick my brain to think that maybe I'm having a soda or something, and I'm actually satisfied. So I'm drinking water and it has the fizz, and I convince myself, or I shouldn't say convince myself, it actually works, because when I do drink it, it doesn't seem as if I'm drinking water. So drink lots and lots of water. And tip number 5, and that is good old exercise. Listen, I'm not saying that on Christmas Day or your gatherings with your family, you should take yourself and go sweat or something, but just remember, any little bit helps. If it's just moving around, going outside, walking around the block, biking, or even just being in motion, really. Just being in motion, sometimes playing one of those games that involves some kind of activity or something. Exercise is so important because it helps you to burn all of that, all of the carbs and so on that you've just eaten. So that's my number 5 tip. And if at all possible, it should be included, because holidays, can I say listen, I love to eat. And I wasn't diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in my early years. So I have always been accustomed to eating whatever I want to. And my type 1 diagnosis has been a struggle. And my channel itself is my path to acceptance of having this disease, because I have always just eaten what I want to and enjoyed what I want to. So now having to moderation, portion size, and things like that, I am still getting accustomed, and it's still a part of my whole acceptance journey. So I definitely know what it is. It's a little bit different when you, I think, because that is my experience, coming from being able to eat whatever you wanted to eat to then having to, and when I say whatever, I'm not trying to confuse anything. Yes, type 1 diabetics can eat anything they want to. It's just that whatever we eat, we have to take the correct amount of insulin to balance what we eat. But what I'm trying to say is, before my diagnosis, I would eat, I was a foodie. I can't think of another word. I was a foodie, and I loved food. But now, when it comes to food, I have to take a lot of things into consideration. So my channel is all too for me as well. As much as I hope it will inspire and help others, it is also a part of my own acceptance journey to have this diagnosis. So I hope you got something from my video today. I hope you learned something from my video today. What are some of your tips? What are some of the things that you do to get through the holidays with a diagnosis of type 1 diabetes? I would so love to hear from you. Listen, leave me a comment below. I answer each and every one of the comments that are left on my page, on my channel. I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment below, and I hope that you found the content of this channel beneficial. If you have, I hope that you consider subscribing. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, so that as soon as I upload a video, you will be the first to know. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you for the next one. And before I go, I want to say a Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays to you all.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller.